I am so thankful you're here. I know like you just get out pulled in a lot of directions and things are not always like, you gotta go when you gotta go type of thing. So I completely get it, but I'm just really
Appreciate that.
appreciative of your time because like even from the stuff that I've been posting, I've been getting people DMing me and a lot of people have actually say, hey, keep going. Like we need more of this. And and then even today I came across something that just like completely fired me up because there was a situation, and I was actually, I'll just, you're from, there was an artist from like the early 2000s. I think his name was, I don't think his name was, but his name was Sammy. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an incident where I guess it was the mother of his child where she had some sort of like postpartum incident.
Mm.
And then and had postpartum depression, and she left their child at his door without just kind of like just left the baby there at his door. And what he did was kind of like shame her for doing that. Like, why would you leave a child? Like, why would you leave a child here? Blah 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 blah. And for me, it was just like she was I unless she openly says it, you wouldn't have known. But she came out and responded to that post online, was saying like, "Dude, why would you do that?" And second, I'm dealing with postpartum depression, so I don't know if he had that context, but it's like those types of incidents make me realize that such a long way to go in connecting the dots and understanding the behavior between someone who's really going through something from a postpartum perspective versus maybe they're just being difficult.
Hmm.
And that really kind of fueled me to say, okay, I got to keep going because like it's stuff like this, and even like talking with people, it's like there's still a level of education that needs to happen. So I'm gonna continue the mission. Well, what I was hoping to talk to you tonight, and I don't want to keep you too long because I know you had a long day, but
No, you're good. Don't worry about it. You're good.
okay,
Just let me see if I could open my door. I'm so sorry. The animals have lost their
the
minds today.
cats, that's okay.
The cats, the dogs, all of them. Okay. Come on, Wookie. Come on, Wookie. Yes, it's okay. Go underneath the bed. Go lay down. So we have a lot of animals in our home.
No worries. I have two dogs, and when I used to have cats, don't even bother closing the door. Like honestly, because they'll do especially if they have that little gap underneath, they'll do the whole like arm underneath thing, and like it's just okay. We just kept our doors open because the cats will just destroy them. So
Hmm.
totally understand. But tonight I wanted to talk to you about like the conversation we are having about birth preferences and birth, kind of removing the idea of like a birth plan and focusing more on a birth preference, right? And when I talk to people, there's there from what we talked about last time about like the birth plan adding it adds a heavy weight onto a couple, but birth preference kind of changes the dynamics a little bit. That's so true. I've talked to several people who are either in the process or are currently pregnant or planning to have a baby in the future. And I would talk to them and be like, "Hey, well, so what's your plan?" And I remember when I said the plan, if I said that words, it was just like there was like a little bit of an exasperation, right? It almost felt like it was heavy by me even saying that. And what I realized is when I switched my tone to say, okay, well, what's your birth, like, what would be like your ideal scenario? It was a little bit more of a free flowing conversation. So
Yeah.
you were 100% right when you talked about the birth plan versus birth preference.
Yeah.
What I was hoping to get from you were if a person, like, if I were like saying, okay, like, here are some things I should consider for a birth preference, what would that be like? Like, what's some of the things I would consider? And I can give you some examples of mine. So, first of all, I will come out and say, I did not follow the birth. We had a birth plan. I did not
Yeah.
follow. It was a very big friction point between my wife and I
Okay.
because
Why?
there is the assumption or the just the ill thoughts that your partner is going to cover, like if it's important, your partner will cover or will direct you. So I think as the male partner in all of this, right? And again, I'm talking in retrospect. I don't have the same philosophy now, but I just listen. I have to say that because I got I mentioned that in a
I know
previous
you
video.
got a lot of flack for some of the
I
things you were
I
saying.
got dragged, and I was like, guys, I was just, I'm just, understand, I learned from it. This is not today's thought. Like, I'm just being honest and saying this is where I was. But it's important for me to call it out because I am not the only one. And clearly, by me saying that, it struck the nerve with a lot of people because a lot of people do go through that. And from my perspective, when it comes to the birth plan, the birth preference, okay, as a male or as a man partner here, right? The pregnant mom will come and give you this document, this sheet, and it'll have like a lot of checks on it and stuff like that. And you're just looking at it like, okay, what would you like me to do here? And it'll tell you like, for in our case, we had a home birth, so it was about like getting towels ready, materials, getting all this other stuff. And I'm looking at like kind of like a grocery list. Okay, babe, you take care of it, or if you let me know what you need me to do. And what will happen at that point is there'll be somewhat of a like, it won't be a noticeable thing at first, but it'll be closer to the time of birth where I feel like your partner will inventory your participation along this journey. And then she will realize that, dude, like and I think what will trigger her the most is that you'll start asking questions that were part of maybe a documentation, a piece of paper, or something she said to you. And then it's like, she'll feel like you're completely not involved or disengaged. And I think one of the reasons why maybe men fail at that is because I think there's a stronger connection with the mother to the baby than the father and the baby at the time. Don't get me wrong, there's some sort of connection for sure. But when it comes to this birth plan, I think there's just that's where the gap in knowledge, the gap in understanding is. You just assume that the mother is going to take care of everything. Just like if you have a mother who is very catering to you as a male, and she took care of everything. She put your clothes out for you. Your dinner was ready for you. All those other things. You assume that translate the same as your to your partner, right? So you assume that your partner is literally going to be able to take care of everything. And if it's something that you need to do, she will literally guide you down that path. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned with my second child how that's not the way to go because all of that stuff came back to bite me in the end. Because nothing is more embarrassing than when you're now meeting with your midwives and your doulas and they're asking you questions and you're just kind of like dumbfounded and you're like, I don't know, let me ask my wife. Well, your wife's not going to be able to like answer all these things, or your wife's not going to be able to tell you where the towels are. Your wife's not going to be able to tell you where the diapers are and all this other stuff. So like what were you doing this whole time? So I think that there is a level of ignorance that goes along with not being engaged in the preference or planning part, right? There's a level of ignorance
But
because
that's why you create those lists or those things that you prefer together. That's why it's very important for
yeah,
the partner to be at that 36-week appointment or that 37-week appointment,
mm,
right? So that you can sit together and you guys can talk together so that your midwife or your provider can tell you, okay, partner, this is what is expected of you. This is what we need, right? So
yeah,
that's where it's open communication. But I think what happens a lot of times is that when we're married, there's always one spouse that kind of takes care of the majority of the home, right? And the majority of
yeah,
the things in the home.
yep,
And then you have the other partner that's just like, okay, just tell me where you need me to be. Just tell me what
yeah,
you need me to do.
exactly,
And an instance of in giving birth, or even giving birth, not feeling well, being ill, you know how it is. Like in the moment of you not feeling well, the last thing in the world you want to do is answer questions
yeah,
because you're just trying to navigate how you're feeling. You're trying to make it through each contraction, each surge, and you're just trying to figure that part out.
right,
So I think that that's where we spoke about the last time, that childbirth
yeah,
education is so important because in that childbirth education, they speak about that,
yeah,
and they'll give you that homework. Okay, so this week we're talking about birth preferences, and these are all things, and tell us what your thoughts are, and tell us what's important to you,
yeah,
what customs are important to you. Are lights on, lights off, twinkle lights, aromatics? Do you follow customs? Do you have special customs? There are a lot of customs that no one is allowed to say a word or peep a word when that baby's born
yeah,
because their custom is that it's the parents' voices that that baby should hear for the very
Yeah.
first time. You know, so having all those preferences laid out that you do it together.
That's the key. You said together.
Together.
And I think that that's where it's kind of like that's where we sometimes fall off is we don't do the whole like togetherness part, right? And it's more of like, well, what do you want? Like, so it's like when you say together, right? For me, it can easily translate to, okay, well, tell me what you want. What I think part of the gap is there's a perception of it's a her preference where I feel like it really she wants the dialogue with you and coming together and discussing it. That's the work. That's the part that's rewarding to your partner who is carrying the baby is having a dialogue and feeling like you're connected on, hey, this is the plan. And I think that's what I realized too. It's not that she doesn't want to do this by herself. She doesn't want to like come up with the plan. She doesn't want to like organize it by herself. There's a moment where I feel like the mother just wants to feel connected and feel like we're doing this together. And I think sometimes men or sometimes me, I try to circumvent processes like, okay, like, hey, you go do this and I'll go do that. You go do this and I'll go do that. And it took me going through that whole experience to realize like, hey, this is a togetherness journey. This is not a okay, I'm gonna go be an individual control. I'm gonna go run this way, you go run that way, and then I'll see you at the finish line. And I think that a lot of men go through that too. But I will say, with the second child, really getting an alignment on the birth preference and getting alignment on like how do we go through this together? What are our desires? It changed the whole experience, right? Going through it where okay, the first time around, I wanted, so when she was meeting with doulas and she was meeting with the midwife, the doula would come by the house and I'd be like, okay, well, you guys have fun talking, and then I would go do something else. And then I realized like that was not the right move because again, it looks like it's just like, okay, this is a you guys thing. You guys are having a good time. And then I realized with our second baby that I definitely needed to be part of these conversations.
Yeah.
And it was important for me to develop the same relationship with the doula. So I would just encourage men, like when you're meeting with the midwives, when you're meeting with the doulas, when you're meeting with the doc, like be part of it, ask questions, be curious about what's going on. And I think really the key point there is that your partner feels like this is a part, like you're invested, and it's not just her doing this on her own. So
You were
that's
just about to say the word, James. A partnership.
a partnership, yes, partnership, and that's the thing.
Yeah, it's a partnership. It's together. It's 50-50. It's not
Yes,
60-40, 70-30. It's 50-50.
yeah,
Mentally, spiritually, in every
yeah,
way.
and
You make
and
that
that,
baby together. So
yes,
you have to
you're
plan
absolutely right.
everything together. And once, as they get older, you have to parent together and
Absolutely.
stand 10 toes down because they will pit you against each other.
Yes, yes. And I came to realize too, if I really like unpack a lot of that, some of that may come from, what we talked about before, even generational curses, right? When you kind of copy and paste some of what you saw, right? So if you didn't see your parents do that, maybe with your own siblings, or if your parents didn't have that, you're gonna assume like, okay, well, you know what? My mom was able to do this on her own. So like, what's the problem, right? That part can be a little bit of a challenge, but also um I think there's also the ignorance part, not in a bad way. It's just like as male partners we don't necessarily know, or we all sometimes have the wrong perception because of maybe how we were raised and how things were just always laid out from us by our mothers, right? That's not, I don't want to say that's a hindrance, but it does have an impact on how we think about our partners. And some of us may have partners where that partner has let us skate by without doing the whole partnership, but then comes to that moment where okay, we're about to have a baby, so our relationship's about to change. Really need to be locked in together. That part also comes to the surface. So really, the baby kind of just changes everything, and I think men sometimes we miss that. And really I would say the sum thing that's important here is the partnership. Like you really have to be locked in with your partner through this pregnancy journey. And I learned that from baby one to baby two. Completely different experience. When we talk about birth preferences, I'll just share with you some of my wife's. Like, she wanted, she wanted Christian music playing, right? She wanted me to be in the pool with her. She wanted the dogs out the house at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted, what else did she want? She told me that it's not just the birth preference, it's also post-birth, right? Like the meal after, and then there's like the special, like, my wife is Haitian, so there's like a special bath that
Mm-hmm.
they do. I forgot what it's called, but it's like with leaves and all kinds of things, and it kind of like helps you kind of detoxify a little bit. We also talked about if things don't go well with the home birth, right? If we have to go to the hospital, if we go to the hospital and they have to perform a C-section, you are to go with that baby everywhere, right? I do not want them to prick the baby. I also, and this is a big thing, right? Delayed clamping. That was a
Mm-hmm.
big thing for my wife, right? And she was very specific about that. For me, I didn't understand in baby number one, but in baby number two, I totally got it. So those are some of the birth preferences my wife wanted. I've talked to other people. Some people are, hey, I want to do a C-section. No, I don't want to do a C-section, but if I do have to do it, this is how I want it done. And I would ask them, like, did you talk to your partner about that? Like, how do they feel? And I'm also realizing that some women are not talking to their partners about it thoroughly because either they feel like their partner is not going to rise to the occasion, or they feel like there's going to be like their mother is going to be involved, so their mother will help take care of it. So there's also that issue as well.
Mm-hmm. It is, all those things are having all those things and having all those things respected and honored, not respected, but honored.
Mm.
That in hindsight, we may not think it's a big thing. We may be like, well, it was just the dogs being out of the house.
Yeah.
Like, why? But sometimes it's just like, we just want to be heard. We just want to be seen.
Yeah.
We just want to be honored. We want to know that what we feel and what we would like, because many of us, we don't ask for help. We don't ask for anything. So when
Yeah.
we do ask for something and it's not honored, it's like,
Yeah. It's tough. It's
yeah.
very tough. It's very tough. Have you seen any challenges as far as like birth preferences, or is there anything where you just see like men being resistant to it, or is it just that we just are completely like oblivious to it? Like, what's like the biggest thing that you hear or you've observed from like what are like why we sometimes as male partners miss the mark on aligning with the birth preference?
I think what I've seen and what I've witnessed is, if there's a doula, or if there's like more than one midwife in the room, or if there's like, a couple people in there supporting the birthing person, and the partner, I will see sometimes just kind of go sit down and kind of be like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, what needs to be understood is that a doula, or even your anybody who's supporting you at that time, is not being like, okay, we're here to support and you go sit down, go sit in a corner somewhere. We are an extension to make sure that
Yeah.
you both are okay. When I was dueling, I always used to tell the partners, I am not here to replace you. I am not here to step on your toes. I'm here to respect both of you, both of your wishes,
Mm.
and I'm an extension of you both. If we notice that she or they are so exhausted and they just really need a timeout and they need to sleep, I'm going to tell you, go climb in the bed with them and both of you go to sleep. I'm going to be right outside the door and I'm listening. Or if I see that you are struggling because you've been up for a couple of days with them, right?
Hmm.
Before you even called me, because they've been having some prodromal labor or whatever, and I go over there and I see that you can't, you're like, I'm fine. I'm
Mm.
fine. I'm going to tell you, if it's early on, go lay down. It's okay.
Mm.
Because that's what true support is, making sure we're fine. We done slept a good night.
Yeah.
So we come in and be like, okay, take a moment. If you need to go get some air, come back, gather your thoughts, get yourself together. Or if you need to go take a shower, you need to lay down for 20 minutes, a power nap, and come back, you feel refreshed.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very challenging for people when they see their partner going through labor and they feel as if their partner is suffering,
Yeah.
right? And it's very challenging to feel almost helpless. And I think that's where a lot of, like I told you before, the tira jala, the
Mm-hmm.
push and the pull comes from. Because a lot of times we don't know how to express our feelings. We don't know how to express our frustrations.
Yeah.
And our frustrations may come out as having an angry face, or our energy may be completely off.
Yeah.
And that's not where we're trying to come from. We're not trying to be that way. It's just that we don't know how to express what it is that we're feeling in the moment. So that's why it's super important for there has to be always communication in a relationship. Always.
Facts.
And I
Facts.
and I always used to say to my clients, you know your partner better than anybody does. Your partner may tell me, I'm fine. No, 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 I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And you'll look at me and be like, they're not fine. They're not
Yeah.
okay. Especially during postpartum.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's what happens a lot. That they'll be like,
Yes.
I'm fine, there's nothing wrong. Yep, I slept good last night. Yeah, I cried a little bit, but I'm okay. And then the
Yeah.
partner step in and be like, no, they were crying for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
They haven't eaten in 2 days. They haven't been talking very much. And that's okay. You're not being a chota.
Mm,
You're not being a tattletale on them. You're just expressing because at that point you have made that connection with your doula. You have made that connection with your midwife.
yeah.
That you can have those honest conversations of like, I feel as if there's something wrong, you know?
You hit the nail on the head when you talked about communication.
Mhm.
That is probably the Achilles heel for a lot of people, right? Which is my partner is going through something, or she's doing X, Y, and Z, and she's saying I'm fine. But maybe I think there are two types, there's multiple types of people. There are people who will take the I'm fine and run with it. Despite what they may see, they will say, look, she says she's fine.
Yeah.
And then there are people who will say, I know you're saying you're fine, I know you're not fine.
Yeah.
And then what will happen is the person, if you feel like they're saying they're fine, you know that you'll start to do the drill down. Like, okay, I'm gonna now bombard you with questions to really try to figure out what's going on. Both scenarios, in one way, shape, or form, create a friction.
Mhm.
Because if you take what she's saying and you're just kind of oblivious to like what it really looks like, I think that's very dangerous. But I also realize that sometimes that's the easy way out, and some people will take that. It's very easy to just say you could be in shambles and say I'm fine, but I'm gonna just if you say you're fine, I'm gonna just take it and roll with it. And I've made both mistakes on both sides of the house. I've made the mistake of taking you're fine and you're not fine and just rolling with it. And I've also taken the mistake of you're not fine, but now I'm gonna just overwhelm you and try to figure out what's going on. And when you say that we're not able, or she may not be able to articulate herself or communicate, right? From my experience, that's a very, very tough place to be.
Yeah.
Because even like, I remember like, luckily I've worked on the communication. I figured it out I'm gonna say I figured it all out, but like, I've gotten a lot better, baby number two. And one of the things I realized is like, my wife has said to me point blank, like, I don't know how to express how I feel. And for me, that was always confusing, right? And I think this is the same. And I've seen this across the board. I'm a board. Look at me. I'm talking like a doctor. I've seen this in multiple scenarios where I've had family members or friends who say like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine." I'm like, "No." Where does it become hard to communicate how you feel? Where's the break where you're like, today I can say, yeah, I'm hungry, but then postpartum it's like I can feel a hunger, but I don't know how to verbally express that. So because I don't know how to verbally express that, I'm going to behave differently until someone sees these nonverbal cues that say I'm hungry. Is there like, what does that look like from a woman's perspective, trying to communicate something, or you're feeling something but you can't communicate it? And for me, I've never truly fully comprehended that struggle. And I know I have some male friends that also could not, like, speaking for men, like, that's a really hard one to comprehend. It's a hard one because as men who don't have to deal with some of these challenges, we're always able to think about how we feel. But at the
Right.
same time, easier said than done when you don't have that challenge of your body is changing. Like, what is that like do you have like an analogy of what that might be like for someone who says, or who's going through a situation where I can't really tell you how I'm feeling. I don't know how to explain it to you. Because we used to have open communication and we used to be able to
Mhm.
communicate, but then suddenly something broke.
Yeah. I think that I guess the best way to explain it is when your child is like 2 years old,
Mhm.
right? They're trying to figure out how to speak. They really don't know how to speak.
Mhm.
And their words are coming together
Mhm.
and they wind up getting hurt or
Mhm.
something. And they're hurting, but they don't know how to express to you what's hurting in them.
Mhm.
They just know that something's hurting. They don't know how to express it,
Mhm.
with being a parent, there are many times that we are overstimulated,
Mhm.
overtouched,
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
okay, underappreciated, okay, or we feel that we're underappreciated, right? And there's these huge expectations of how we spoke about the last time of, you have to be able to hold everything down and make sure that everything's running well, especially being in the households that we have been brought up in, right? It's very different culturally.
Absolutely.
So it's like you are the patriarch of the family. You have to hold everything down. No da complain
Mhm.
because your tia so and so had 5 kids and they did it just fine and they didn't complain and da, da,
Yes.
da, da. You're being exagera and all
Yeah.
this stuff. And it's not that. Every parent, not everyone's parental journey is the same.
Thank you.
Okay. And
Thank you.
also, we tend to forget that yes, we're parents, but we're also human beings with feelings, with emotions. We're
Yeah.
not just partners, we're human beings. We're all navigating through our lives through whatever traumas it is that we have been through in our life. Every single person in this world has had some form of trauma,
Yes.
whether it's direct or indirect. Okay. So we're navigating through that, navigating through being a new parent. No one tells us how to be a parent. People have opinions, or they say, I would never do that with my child, or I would never.
Yeah.
Until you're in that situation, you
Yeah.
cannot say, I would never.
Yeah.
You just would not. You cannot. So I think that the problem lies is that when you are taking care of everything for this little human being who cannot fend for themselves, and you're doing all the things and you're feeding them, whether you're nursing, whether you're bottle feeding, you're still waking up every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
You're sleep deprived. You're sore from giving birth, whether you birth through your belly or whether you birth through your vagina.
Mhm.
Okay. You have stitches, whether it be vaginal stitches or whether it be abdominal stitches. Okay. You're probably feeling tired and weak because of the blood loss. You may be a little anemic and you don't even know it yet until you have your 6-week appointment, because that's when they draw that's where they draw
Yep.
your blood, right?
Yep.
You have all these things navigating through your mind. Is the baby okay? Is the baby breathing okay? Am I feeding the baby enough? Am I not feeding the baby enough? Is the baby getting enough from my breast?
Mhm.
Is my partner okay? Does my partner feel abandoned? Do they feel that I'm not looking at them? Is the other children okay? That the last thing in the world that we want to do is form a thought as to what's wrong.
I see. I get
I
it
don't
now.
want don't ask us what we want to eat, because I don't care.
See, by you explaining it in that way, I got tired halfway through. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so I don't. And now it comes all together. Now it makes sense. So I'm hoping that the people understand. Like, this is why it's hard for someone to articulate their thought, because like, okay, my body is got stitches. My blood is all might be all over the place. I'm sleep deprived. I'm overly stimulated because I'm touched. I'm also worried about baby number 3 and 4 who might be
Mhm.
running around here somewhere.
Mhm.
I'm also under the pressures of just am I going to be a good enough mother and all this other stuff. That's a lot in a very short period of time.
And if our partners go back to work and we're home alone and we
Whew.
have nobody but ourselves to fend for ourselves, this new baby and other children, because the reality of it is that the majority of people are not practicing the cuarentena. The majority of people are not practicing the 40 days of postpartum. because financially we cannot. It's not accessible. So the partners
Yes.
have to go back to work. And
Yeah.
even if the partner's working from home, they have to work.
Yeah.
So a lot
That.
of the responsibility falls on this person who has just given birth 2 weeks ago or a week
Yeah.
ago. And your body's still depleted. Your body's still exhausted from birthing.
Yeah.
Labor, look at the word labor. What does labor mean? Work. It is hard work to labor. It is
Yeah.
hard work to bring life into the world. So our bodies are exhausted, our spirits are exhausted, our
Yeah.
minds are exhausted. So, no, unfortunately, we don't know what's wrong.
I see.
It could be everything that's wrong. It could be that we woke up and this cup was over here instead of over here, and that just threw us off for the rest of the day, because why in the world wasn't my cup where it was supposed to be?
Yeah. See, this is the enlightening moments, right? That you're giving all kinds of like lightning right now, by the way, because it comes down to there is such a gap in understanding and expectations. Like you really just described my whole journey and for a second there because like I work from home. When my firstborn came, okay, internet didn't drag me again. I'm just sharing what happened. I've learned from my mistakes.
This is how I thought that.
This is how it was, okay? I'm here now, okay? So I live in Connecticut. And in this state, we get 12 weeks of paternity leave for the fathers. I also work from home. I went back to work. Look at your eyes. Look at your eyes. I went back to work 2 weeks after my child was born. Not only that, my wife's family is from Massachusetts. So essentially, when I went back to work, now, again, I said I work from home. So in my mind, and I'm sharing this so other guys don't make the same mistake.
Yeah.
In my mind, I have to just be. Someone will come and get me. In my mind, I felt that because I'm physically here, I could come out every hour, check on things, etc. That was good enough. And I said, okay, I'll go back. And the reason why I went back for 2 weeks because I had some professional ambitions I was trying to pursue. And what I learned is even though I'm physically here in the house, and yes, I am coming out to check on you, that wasn't enough. And I learned during the postpartum when my wife kind of finally really broke down and it's like, I didn't realize that it was that big of a deal. Like, I literally didn't think it was that big of a deal. But she said, I felt so alone. And when she said that to me, I was like, what do you mean? I was home with you. She's like, yeah, but like, you're not here. You're here, but you're not here with me. And you're not here to keep me company. You're not here. I don't have anybody to laugh with. I don't have anybody to hold the baby if I need to take a break. Like, I just felt so alone. And that was really heartbreaking to hear, but also confusing because I felt like, again, my mind, and I like think a lot of guys is, how can I make everything work? And you don't realize the level of pause you need throughout this journey. It's not a, this is not one of those things where it's not an efficiency scenario of like, how can I get everything operating in optimization so we can be extremely lean and efficient? This is a journey of you. This is pregnancy really humanizes people.
Yeah.
I work in tech and we all live in the fast life. There's a lot of things happening around us. Things are always yelling or whistling or beeping at us, etc. Things always want to move fast. But going through the birthing experience is one of the most humanized things you will ever experience. And nobody talks about it. Everybody talks like there's still this like it almost feels like there's this desire for people to simplify their or talk about their experience as if like oh like it was like baking a cake or something. It's so much more in depth spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I'm really trying to pull back the curtain on a lot of that stuff because me going back to work 2 weeks after my son was born was probably one of the biggest mistakes I could have ever made. And it really was about me trying to just be dominant in all areas. And then I realized like it really, really caused a big problem for my wife during postpartum. And it's something that it took her a while to get over. You don't realize
I
one
didn't
thing you
mean
don't
to.
realize is you don't realize the impact of things that you do that can be detrimental to your partner. especially during that time, because, like you said, she's not also able to articulate to you in the moment that this is wrong. But it's still, that doesn't mean that the wounds aren't there. Doesn't mean that you're not inflicting pain. Doesn't mean that you're not causing trauma problem. It's just that she's not able to verbally say, "Ouch, that hurts right now." So it's like now it's even worse, because now you could continuously be doing something that's hurting the relationship, and you won't know about it until one day that pressure cooker just goes, psh, and then you're really gonna hear it. So I wanted to say all that to say, like, it's super critical during that, before the baby comes, to have that communication.
Yeah.
That communication that you have, and that partnership that it's what you just said really puts a lot of value and weight to really be locked in together before the baby comes, because after the baby comes, she may not be able to communicate to you the way she used to. So it is a good time to really, really understand. If you don't know your partner, you need to really know them during you know, the 36, between, you got 36 weeks to pull it, 36 to 38 weeks to pull it
Yeah.
together, and really understand who they are. What are your needs? What do you like? What do you not like? What are some things that could
And you nailed it.
mm,
What do you need?
mm,
What can I do for you?
yeah,
Because I think a lot of times we spend so much time is like, you need anything? You want anything? No? Okay, great.
yeah,
We
yeah,
walk
yeah,
away.
yeah, yep,
But I
yeah,
asked. I asked what they wanted. I asked if they need anything, and they didn't say anything. But
right,
instead of approaching it that way, saying exactly what you said, what do you need? What
right,
do you need from me? And not just material wise, like what do you need from me emotionally? What do you need from me spiritually? How can I help you?
right. Yeah. And I think we sometimes undervalue those conversations.
Hmm.
Not that they're not important, not that they're not relevant. It's just, you think you know your partner. You really think that you know them. But going through a journey like pregnancy, you realize that there's levels to this. And one thing I talked about with somebody else one day is, she told me that relationships are not static. They're constantly, they're not there's not like a it's not like a plastic plant that you put in the window. It's a living, breathing thing. You have to continue to water it, and the way it looked yesterday is not going to be the way it looked today. And that's not because it's changing; it's evolving.
Hmm.
And that's something I didn't learn until baby number two came along, which is, okay. It's not like she may have liked this 3 years ago, but the needs change. That happens. That's life. That's a human. That's a living, breathing thing. Their needs are going to evolve and change, and that's something that I did adapt to and I did implement in baby number two. It was so much better with baby number two. But really,
Because you learned your lesson.
I learned my lesson, and then I shared it, and then they dragged me, and I learned my lesson again. I was like, golly, all right, I get it.
Yeah, Dito.
My gosh. I really touched the nerves. I'm telling you. But I really feel like that is the, I will say that is the lightning in the bottle for partners out there, is understanding your partner's needs and really take inventory of their needs. You have 36 to 38 weeks to gather that, because
Not even that, because you don't find out you're pregnant until 4 to 6 weeks.
true. So you got less than that.
Hmm.
Use that time wisely to really connect with your partner, lock in, build your communication skills, if it's important to you. Some people it may not be, but if it's important to you and you want to survive postpartum, okay, your best bet is to communicate, lock in, understand their needs, because once the baby comes, and like you said, they're overstimulated, they're overtouched, they're sore, they're tired, the baby's crying, they may be alone, there might be a pressure from family, there might be all these things running through their mind. They're not going to be able to openly communicate. And when you also gave that example of, if the cup was here and now it's over there, and now it completely disrupts their thought process or the logic or even the day, you're going to have to be able to help them through that. And the best way to really do that is to say, you know what? If the cup was there and now it's over there, and that throws her off, that stems from, she may be very critical or particular about certain things. So I know how, even though she can't tell me, I can at least know how to adapt or change to that. She may not tell me she's hungry, or she may not be able to tell me what she wants to eat, But what I do know is this. I know that my partner has explicitly expressed to me what their favorite foods are. I know my partner has explicitly expressed what they don't like. I know what foods are going to be important during this season of postpartum that's going to help with repairing. I know that my partner hasn't gotten a lot of sleep, so I need to give them something where, they're going to have the nutrients that they need while they sleep because, you know what? She may not be hungry. All these different things. You can literally get
Sometimes it's
ahead of
just
this.
taking the baby for 3 hours
Yeah.
and saying, go in the room, close the door, put a sound machine on, whatever you need to do, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Take a shower, go to sleep. I got the baby.
Yeah.
That means more than anything. And
Yeah.
when they wake up, you have something for them to eat. Make them some graze boxes. Get some those triangular, not triangular, those oblong Tupperwares that they sell in
Mm.
Walmart for like five for $6. You know which ones I'm
Yeah.
talking about with the
Yeah.
red
Yeah.
lids and stuff like
Yep.
that,
Yep. 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 The
and
Rubbermaid. Yep.
fill them up with all the snacks that you know that they like to eat.
Yeah.
So when they're feeding the baby, boom, you bring it out, you bring them their cup, let
Yeah.
them go to the bathroom, you hold baby. This is what I tell all my partners. You want to help with feeding? This is what you do. You hear baby stirring, you get up, you get baby, change baby's pamper, let them go to the bathroom because you're waking up. You know, you wake up, you got to use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Let them use the bathroom, let them get situated so they can properly position baby. And as baby's there, bring them their little snack box, bring them their water,
Mm-hmm.
and so they can be feeding and getting a snack at the same time. When
Yeah.
they're finished feeding, take that baby back, burp that baby, let them go to sleep, burp that baby, put that baby down. This
Mm-hmm.
way it's equally yoked. You
Mm.
both are helping with the feeding process of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like, dang, I got to do everything.
Mm.
Can I have a little bit of help?
Yeah.
And those little things, it's the small things that mean so much.
Yeah. And again, I think from a male's perspective, I don't think it's a some people it might be laziness. Some guys might just be flat out like out lazy. Sometimes some guys might be more of a male chauvinist, but I think for the majority of the population, it's just a lack of
Knowledge.
not knowledge, not knowing. And I also feel like, sorry.
I said, what you're doing is so important. You're letting them know. Like,
Yeah, it's
listen, let's get it together.
yeah,
We've
it
talked a lot about over here about creating spaces for partners to have their own type of education
mhm.
for pregnancy and postpartum so they can really have the tools that they need. And a lot of times they need you guys, partners need a space to kind of let things out. We call desahogarse, like
Mhm.
to word vomit, to get it all
Mhm.
out. Like, I don't know. Like you're saying, I don't know what to do. I thought what I was doing was great. I thought what I was doing was the thing to do. I thought that by being in the next room and walking in every hour and be like, you okay? Do you need anything? Because in their minds, they're like, why are you not here with me?
Yeah.
If you had all those weeks that they were going to pay you for it, why didn't you just take advantage of at least a couple more weeks and just spend time with me to bond as a family together?
Yeah.
You
That
know?
that's the thing. It's like I think there's also a level of arrogance with that, right? There's a level of, oh, I can do it all. I can do it. It's no, you can't. It is. There's so much, and again, this comes to knowledge. Like again, I oversimplified it, right? And from in my case, I had the luxury to be home, but there are a lot of people out there who maybe work a situation where you can't, like you gotta either physically go in, or some people don't even get a parental leave, right? So, and some people literally, you got 5 days, and I think you get like those are like sick days. You get
Yep.
5 days to do what you gotta do, and then get back to work,
Yep.
and you're gone the whole day type of thing. And there are, I mean, I've heard stories about people like in California and who've moved out west or moved out to Texas or moved to different places throughout the country away from the family. Partner works like a construction job. He's got to leave at crack in the morning. He's come back late at night, and you're home with the baby all day long. And now when he gets home, he's also tired
Yeah.
because he's been out and she's tired. So now it's like
Yeah.
it gets hairy. And I think that's really, an opportunity to also advocate for, more like paternity leave time for men too. Like it's super important for men. But one thing I wanted to go back to is with you're doing with the doula work, I know you're you're doing classes too, right? For
I'm a
partners.
midwifery student.
But no, meaning like, are you teaching classes,
Yeah, I do childbirth education.
childbirth, and are you doing those online as well, or is it in person only?
No, the classes that I teach are in person, but we are trying to create an online
Okay.
classes as well because it is very important.
Yeah.
I had to stop doing doula work my second year of school
Mm-hmm.
because I work full time and I have two clinical sites. So I have 2 full days of clinic and then I'm pretty much on call 24/7 for, for one site and another site I have set days.
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't feel I just didn't feel it was the right thing to do to continue accepting clients because I would not be fully present,
Yeah.
you
Fair
know?
enough.
So I fell back from doing the doula work. But I love being a doula and I will always have that in my heart and in my spirit and that's what I plan on. That I've seen some really amazing midwives who were doulas for a long time use a lot of their doula skills and incorporate it with their midwifery skills.
Mm.
Because that's what it was all about. Having all those skills and using all those skills together and not and doing what you needed to do for the family.
Mm.
But I've seen so many beautiful, beautiful families come and form and just to witness the change in a person from never having a child to having a child and seeing you can physically see the change in both of
Mm-hmm.
their faces and in their demeanor and in their
Mm-hmm.
energy and they're like, this is mine, like we created this,
Mm.
wow, like, and the looks on the partners faces of like, wow, you really did that,
Mm-hmm.
you really brought our baby into the world. And you see them looking at their baby and they're like, they have this look of surprise, like, oh my God, I did this.
Mm.
And it's a beautiful thing to see. And then once you see them postpartum, and I always look at them and I'm like, how are you doing?
Mm.
Right. And they're like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I just stay looking at them. And then you see the eyes welling up with tears. And I'm like, what's wrong? Really, what's wrong? I don't know if I'm feeding my baby correctly. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
giving my baby enough. I don't know. And I'm so exhausted and I'm so tired and my body's sore. My body's still sore. It's been a week already and my body, I feel like I did a strongman competition and I did 40,000 sit-ups and push-ups and lifted weights and my body just hurts.
Mm.
Their bottom hurts. They have their hemorrhoids hurt. Their stomach muscles may hurt. Their throat may hurt from all those sounds that they were making.
Mm.
And they're dealing with all the inflammation in their body, and then they're trying to nurse this beautiful little being, or they're trying to feed this beautiful little being, and there's latch issues. The baby has a tongue tie, a lip tie,
Oh yeah.
and baby's having a hard time feeding, and they just cannot figure it out. Why? Because there's that accessibility. Not everyone has enough money to get a lactation consultant to take a look at the mouths of the babies and
Mm.
to do the PT. A lot of babies need PT in order to fix the ties or to
Mm-hmm.
get it revised. A lot of things are not really accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers, right?
Yeah.
And I think that as a provider, it's our responsibility to let them know it's okay not to be okay.
Mm.
You don't have to tell me you're okay because you think that's what I want to hear.
Mm.
It's okay if for the rest of the appointment you just want to lay down and talk to me laying down, or you need to cry. Sometimes we just need to cry and we don't know why we need to cry.
Yeah, society makes us feel like there's always has to be an endpoint, right? You always have to have an answer, right? Society makes us feel that way.
Mhm.
And it is so it's probably the most freeing thing you can say to a person in that moment is it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to have an answer. Because that I feel like that liberates them from the pressure of having to figure out the answer or the perfect answer for what you're asking, the
Mhm.
perfect answer for the question you're asking me. And if you're giving me the option to say I don't know, I think that's so liberating for people because and the reason I say it's liberating because I've tried that method. I've said it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to answer me now.
Mm-hmm.
I see the calmness that comes over the person's body because it's like the pressure's gone. I am the type of person where I've got to have an answer for everything. I got to have a response. I can understand where my partner may feel that same pressure because of just who I am as a person, but learning from that and then giving that reassurance that like, hey, you don't got to have an answer, but if you want to say something, it's okay. I'm here. If you want to just not respond, that's okay too. So that's definitely a nice little pro tip for people.
Let me ask you a question. When your wife said to you, I felt so alone,
Mm.
right? Was your initial instinct to be like, what do you mean? Like I was doing all the things. Was your initial instinct I'm just asking, was your initial instinct, was it to defend yourself and what it is that you were doing? Or was your initial instinct to walk over to them and give them a hug?
Ooh, you're going deep. Okay, my answer. Please, internet. I'm just
But do
my
you see where I'm going? And
yeah.
it's not an attack against you.
No,
It's
no, no.
like,
It's fair.
what a difference would it have made in that instant
Yeah.
if
So.
when she said that, you just walked up
Mm,
to her and
mm-hmm.
just grabbed her and
Mm-hmm.
held her and be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Muscle memory made me defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was me coming back at you with a question of, or maybe not necessarily a question, but a response in defense.
Yes.
When you say you're alone, how are you? Because now, again, mentally, I was in the space of, okay, let me try to defend this here
Yes.
because what are you talking? It's more of like, what are you talking about? I'm here. If you need me, just call me. I'm literally the next door down. I can come out. Like, how can I? It was less of being curious about what's making you feel that way, more of me justifying or trying to find a way to continue down the path that I'm on with
Mm.
modifications rather than saying, okay, I'm here. So I wasn't getting the cue of, I feel alone, I need a hug. I was getting, it almost felt like I was trying to correct that person's perception of, no, you're not alone. I'm actually here. And if you need more of me, here's what I can do. So I did not take that path of, like, you feel alone, like you need me here. And and I remember even when I talked about it and I was defending myself, I think there was also that moment of exasperation on her part because she was like, it was like, okay, just
Yeah,
forget
never
it.
mind.
Yeah. So there was that moment where it was like, okay, and this is in hindsight, so I'm reflecting, but like I can just tell, like me reflecting now, not in the moment, that wasn't my thought, but me reflecting now was more of a, he's not gonna get it. And well, she'll just do, okay, fine, James, just go ahead. I read that as, okay, cool. I'm going back to what I was doing, and then just call me if you need anything. Once we hit maybe 3 4 months into postpartum, that's where it came out where we were what did we were talking about something, and she was like, I feel so I think it came up against like, I feel so alone. I go, what do you mean you're alone? I'm here. Oh no, what came up was she asked me, when are you going to take more time off? And I was like, well, when do you need me to take some time off? So it was going through that negotiation. I said, hey, why don't we do like we did last time, which is I'll work and then you just call me when you need it. And she's like, that's when she really kind of broke down and was like, I feel so alone. Like my family's 2.5 hours away. You know, yes, even when you did come out to be, and then you can't be with me, you were checking your work phone. You were in your work phone. You weren't present. You weren't in the moment with me. And I didn't realize the value of being present and in the moment at
Yes.
that time. So like that's a high value moment for partners, is to be present in the moment. Even if you don't have anything to offer, I think I came to realize that just simple presence and feeling a togetherness is all that person needed.
Yeah.
And that took a lot of growing pain. But I also realized that a lot of people don't get that. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, dang, that's the easiest. If you really think about it, it's kind of like the easiest thing to do is just to be present. It's like, it's very low effort to do that. But it doesn't always click for, and this is the problem. Like those things don't always click in our heads either. that's all you need, especially if you're the type of person who's like a type A personality and you're a doer, like something has to get done. Like, I'll give you another example. There was another scenario where, okay, fine, I took the time off from work and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here, but I kept myself busy around the house. I was like cleaning, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was putting this stuff together. So even though I'm not technically working, I'm not present with her. Yes, I am cleaning the house for us.
Mhm.
Yes, I am doing this for us, but for her, it still doesn't equal to me being present.
Yeah.
And I realized that she would have been happier with the house in shambles, but with me standing by her side.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the biggest takeaways I learned. It's just the biggest thing you can do for your partner in postpartum is just to be present and not let them feel like they're alone. So that
That's the
was
biggest thing that we could do for our partners, period, whether we postpartum at any point in our marriage. You know,
facts, facts.
there are times my wife and I, she's had a freaking 100-hour week at her job.
Mm-hmm.
She's worked 14-hour days, like 4 days straight. She's exhausted. I'm exhausted because I haven't been home in 3-4 days because I've been at births in clinic all week.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking all week and we don't want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? We just sit on the sofa next to each other and we're just next to each other. We're just sharing that energy together. No words need to be spoken, but just knowing that I'm literally sitting right next to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I can lean my head on you if I want to, or you can lean your head on me if you want to. And just being present in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really one of the biggest important things in relationships is, like you said, being present. And
I'll
that's what she needed in that's what she needed in those moments. That's why she was telling you she felt alone,
mm-hmm.
because there was no real presence.
I'll tell you this much. With baby number two, because I was more present, she started talking about, I can't wait for the next baby. Like, it was more like, I can't wait to do this. The conversations went from, you're not with me, to like, let's do this again. So definitely a very big difference in emotional responses, and her behavior is just being present. So I think that's really the aha moment. That's the aha, is being present. And the funny thing about being present is it costs you nothing. It's very low energy, very low effort. It's literally just sitting there and being with the person. And it's like it's one of it's you ever like work on a puzzle and you're like, by the end you're like, that was it. I took me that long to figure that out. Like that was the moment for me. It was like, that's the simplest thing. It's like one of those things where it's like the clue is right in front of your face, but you're looking for something so much bigger, and you're overcomplicating it, and by you overcomplicating it, it's taking you more time and you're making things worse. Where it's like, it's just, don't overthink it. It's the smallest thing. It's right there in front of your face. Just be present. So that is definitely the gem for this evening. One more thing I wanted to talk to you about is from a doula perspective.
Hmm.
You mentioned, like, so can you just share with me, like, what does that doula journey look like post birth? And the reason why I say that is because people like myself and millions of other couples throughout the country, not everybody has abuela on standby waiting to that knows what to do. Nobody has a tia that knows exactly what to do. Sometimes those people are far away.
Yeah.
Sometimes those people don't know what to do. Or sometimes they're just not the right people you want to have in your life at the moment. So sometimes these couples are going through what I've learned to call, which is the fourth trimester
Hmm.
alone.
Yeah.
And understanding more about doulas, you guys can play a really big role in the fourth trimester. So the question I have is, where does the relationship in the fourth trimester? Like, where
As far
does,
as doula work goes,
as far as your doula work goes?
so if you've hired a birth doula, right? Or a lot of us are full spectrum doulas that we do. I'm a full spectrum doula. So everything from fertility to loss to abortion to birth to postpartum, all the things, fertility, all the things, right? So the majority of doulas will do anywhere between 4 to 6 prenatals, depending on what the family needs, depending on what their contract looks like, birth, and then immediate postpartum, so several hours after you've given birth. And then they'll typically come 1 to 3 times postpartum. Again, depending on their contract, depending on what package you've had. Now there are postpartum doulas that just do postpartum work, and
Okay.
I've done that before too.
Okay.
And that's a totally different ballgame. That's a totally different thing because we're spending evenings with you or spending the
Mm-hmm.
whole day with you.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like you hired a doula for your birthing process, and so sometimes they'll see you a week after you've given birth, and then they'll see you maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, and then they'll see you at 6 weeks, and then that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had postpartum contracts that I've been with families for 3 months, 6 months, four
Mm-hmm.
months, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's all they need. They just need a couple nights of sleep,
I see.
right? They just need someone that they know they can trust that's gonna hold baby down or bring baby to be nursed and then take baby back, kind of like what we were discussing before, right? Oh, I hear baby stirring. Let me get baby up.
Hmm.
Let me change baby, wake them up. Hey, it's time for baby to feed. They feed them, we take them, we burp them, and we put them back down. And then before we leave in the morning, we make sure that they have something to eat. And
Mm.
when they wake up, maybe do a couple like baby bottles, fold baby clothes, and just kind of get things that
Mm-hmm.
were not able to be done during the day. So it really depends on the doula. It depends on the contract that you have signed with your doula.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many different avenues and facets for doulas
Got you.
that come and help in different ways.
Got you.
I used to do anywhere between 4 to 7 post prenatals, depending on what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
I would do maybe 1 or 2 of those meetings virtually.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be with you for your birth. I'd be with you for immediate postpartum. And because I was a birth assistant before I was a doula,
Mm-hmm.
I used to stay for a good solid 4 hours to
Mm.
make sure that, vitals were okay. There wasn't a whole lot of bleeding going on, that you have eaten, that you've been able to go to the bathroom, and just get a feel like, okay, are you guys okay? Can you be
Mm-hmm.
alone? Okay,
Mm.
now I'm gonna go. Because you also need that privacy too.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you love your doula, sometimes you're like, kind of some alone time. I want a little
Mm.
bit of bonding time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would do, depending on the family, I would do 2 to 3 postpartums. But that was also really dependent on the contract that we had
Mm.
and really their needs. Some people were just like, I really don't need postpartum care. Or I would rather save
Mm-hmm.
instead of prenatal. I've had a
Mm-hmm.
couple kids. I know all the things.
Mm.
Yeah, you could come over, we'll have some sopita, we'll have some cafecito, we'll talk and whatever, but I really don't need a whole bunch of support
Mm.
during my pregnancy.
Mm.
So can we take some of those appointments and push them for my postpartum? Absolutely.
Mm.
You know, one thing I always used to do for my families was I would bring them a sopa or guisa or stew for their postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my little crock pot, and I come with my little crock pot and bring it over to them and I feed
Mm.
them because that's my love language. My love language is feeding people.
Hey, there you go.
And I would go ahead and make sure, because there's nothing more comforting than having a good criollo meal,
Mm-hmm.
right? A nice homemade hearty meal,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we need that. Postpartum, that body needs sopas, it needs caldos, soups and broths and guisaos, which are stews, things that are cooking for a long time, and the marrow or the vegetables are cooking, and having those high protein meals and having that heat in the belly, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, like with your wife with the herbal baths is very important. That's healing for the body.
Mm.
And just giving them that opportunity. I think one of the biggest things for a lot of families is when I would show up and I would take baby, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I gotta go take a shower. Because
Mm-hmm.
that baby has been cluster feeding all day.
Mm.
So that baby's been on top of that person all day long. They've had to like nurse while using the bathroom because they can't,
Yes.
the baby's screaming, you
Yeah.
know? So they just
Yeah.
like, please just give me a moment, And
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people just need, just a moment.
Yeah, that I agree. And I would say like that's where, for if we do go on to have more children, I personally will definitely make sure that we have a postpartum doula. And fellas, I'm speaking from my experience because especially if you are someone who's away from family or if you don't have connect, whatever the case may be, if you don't have a circle with you of people that you know and trust that can pour love into that. Now that's the other thing too. The people have to have the ability to pour into you. They cannot come around you and I'm just here to have my photo op with the baby or I'm here to just hold the baby for my own selfish ambitions. It's literally got to be a I'm operation pour into this couple. If you don't have that and you don't have a people that are 100% just here for you, suggesting to maybe consider a postpartum doula. As we were talking about here, all of these things that will come up, you will need someone to help hold the baby.
Hmm.
Mom is going to definitely want to take a shower. She's going to need to take a shower. The soups are underrated. Okay.
Hmm.
I had to learn how to make, I had to go I can't tell you how many boxes of bone broth we had in my house. Okay. I mean, we were like, it was cases among cases, right? Those soups are super critical. Having good nutrients after she has delivered the baby is super critical. And I'm not talking about ordering Domino's. I'm not talking about going to Burger King. I'm saying like soups, fibers, vitamins, calcium is going to be very important. Iron because she lost a lot of blood. All of those things you're not going to get at fast food. You're not going to get through DoorDash. You're not going to get through Uber Eats. If you really want your partner to have a good recovery, you got to make sure you got a good plan on food. And if you cannot cook, call yourself a doula and find one who can cook. I don't know if all doulas can cook, but find someone who knows, especially culturally, that will be able to align with your family.
Yes,
Depending on,
it's very, very important.
where you are culturally, right? I feel like after having this conversation with you, I do personally wish that we went for a postpartum doula or we had a situation we had a postpartum doula because you don't have to be Superman. You don't have to do it. You don't, there are options out there. And trying to do it all on your own, it can cause a problem, right? Because as I was explaining before, if you are saying, hey, I'm going to just do this all on my own, that means you can't, unfortunately, be present with your partner at the time because you're doing everything for them. So yeah, even though I'm making her soup and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I'm missing the opportunity to be present with her. So that was
That's why you do meal prep
yes.
before you give them birth. you
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
we see all these TikTok videos and all these Instagram videos of people buying all these hundreds and hundreds of dollars of groceries, and they're sitting for 5 and 6 hours and they're prepping, and that's not real. That's not reality. That's not what everyone can do. Not everyone has the means to do it. So another way of doing it is you cook dinner and there's leftovers and you're not going to eat those leftovers right away. Put those leftovers in a freezer bag, put it flat, label it, put it inside the freezer, and you keep stacking. And before you know it, you have like 12, 13 meals
We
that you
actually
could just pull out, you
yeah,
know?
I actually bought a freezer on Facebook Marketplace right
Yep.
before baby number. And I was like, why do we need this? I was resisting it at first, believe it or not. It felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, are we going to turn into like my mother's house or we just have a deep freezer full of food? Like, why do we need a deep? I was anti against it at first, but then I realized like, oh snap, we got to keep stuff in the freezer. Not only that, when your your partner starts pumping, you're going to need a place for all that breast milk.
And a space that's not going to be continually opened.
Yes, because it needs to stay cold. So
Hmm.
lots of things there. But awesome. Well, I want to say thank you
You're
again.
welcome, James.
This was great. You gave another round of gems here. I do, and I hope that the audience will help me encourage her to definitely do an online class when she's done with school, and I
Absolutely.
will be there. I'm committing to it now that I will be there to help support
Yeah.
in any way that I can because we got to help people. And it's like there are so many unnecessary friction points, unnecessary moments of unhappiness that happen because things get lost in translation, things get lost in communication. And there's also that lack of preparation that we as male partners sometimes take for granted. There is so much opportunity to make sure that everybody has success, and it's not a whole lot of work to do it. It's basic. And the thing I love about pregnancy journey, especially for someone like me who works in tech, is it humanizes. It really brings you back to just being a human at the end of the day. There are no deliverables. There are no like you got to do this, this, and that. Dude, just sit here and be with me, which is because of the way the world is structured today, because of how things move. It seems like wow, that's way too simple. But even though it's super simple to do, a lot of us don't do it. So, wow, this was awesome.
Thank you, Mijito. I appreciate you.
Okay, so